Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are well. Today is December 4th, and it is also Thursday. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful week so far, and hopefully, all you guys are excited for the weekend coming up. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing as well. All funds go to me. It's $8 a month. And all of it helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in life, like my groceries, clothing, all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. That being said, though, hopefully all you guys are wonderful. Let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the first topic we have today is Pete Hegseth has told an admiral to resign due to the admiral asking questions. Pete Hegseth has asked a four-star Navy admiral who oversees the Caribbean strikes to step down after he voiced concerns about the attacks. U.S. Southern Command head Admiral Alvin Hoseley will now retire 2 years early after months of discord between him and Hegseth, according to the Wall Street Journal. Hegseth reportedly told Hoseley, "You're either on the team or you're not. And when you get an order, you move out fast and you don't ask questions." Telling an admiral to resign when he has far more experience than you is absolutely wild, and it is really sad to see another person who opposes all of this to go. But Pete Hegseth needs to be removed, without a doubt. I mean, for one, he has caused many military leaders to resign who are very knowledgeable about their positions, but also he is a horrific leader himself and has done terrible things. He has put national security at risk, he has put troops at risk, and time again, it has been another issue with the man. I mean, this is what happens when you let a Fox News host / alcoholic run the Department of Defense. It ends up committing war crimes, and it doesn't go well in the slightest. In other news, Pete Hegseth is now facing impeachment for murder and conspiracy. Representative Shiri Thaindar, that's probably pronounced horribly and I apologize for that, has announced plans to introduce articles of impeachment against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The effort to target two of the Secretary's biggest scandals following Singlegate and the strikes against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. Many believe this may struggle, as Hakeem Jeffries himself has already denied support for it, but the articles will accuse Hegseth of murder and conspiracy to murder, and reckless and unlawful mishandling of classified information. This is great, and I really do hope it gains support. Hakeem Jeffries should resign, without a doubt, if he's going to continue to not support things like this, because he is one of the sole reasons why Democrats have to continuously sit on their hands and really do nothing, which really needs to end. We need more support. We need more leadership, or better leadership within the Democratic Party if that party wants to be successful. Pete Hegseth should be removed from office. He should have never been hired in the first place, but he should be removed. And if we don't act on things like this now, we're not going to have an opportunity. You know what they say, you need to strike when the iron is hot. And right now, the iron is hot for Pete Hegseth. And if Democrats do not strike now, they are going to continue to be a failure, just like we have seen time and time again. In other news, the Pentagon knew there were survivors, but decided to go ahead with a second strike on the boats in the Caribbean anyways. A new report from the Associated Press has announced that the Pentagon knew there were survivors after a strike on a boat in the Caribbean, yet forces carried out a second strike anyways. Anonymous individuals said the officials justified the strike as necessary to sink the vessel, which led to killing 11 people on board, of which many have claimed to be a fishing boat and not a drug boat. This comes at a time in a huge investigation into the strike, and this strike in specific, as Pete Hegseth is being blamed for committing war crimes. Isn't this just fine and dandy? Really looks good on us, doesn't it? There should have never been a second strike, and now we know that there were survivors, and they did it anyways. I mean, this problem is getting bigger and bigger and becoming more of an issue day by day. Our government is actively committing war crimes in the Caribbean, and it needs to be stopped. Not to mention, they are doing it without anyone in our government working to stop them. Something needs to be changed. People need to work against this, especially the lawmakers in charge. You don't see anything done by Hakeem Jeffries. Instead, he sits around doing nothing. which is why he needs to resign, and so do all these other top Democrats. We need change within that party to be successful. Anyways, moving on into our ICE segment, ICE has hired new agents who can barely read or write. According to a new report from the Daily Mail, ICE is hiring agents who can barely read or write. One Department of Homeland Security official said, "We have people failing open book tests. We have folks that can barely read or write English. Many agents are also failing fitness tests." According to an official, a 469-pound man was sent to an academy to train to become an ICE agent, and it's something that's been seen as many people who are unfit or unhealthy are also being sent to be ICE agents. This agency is incompetent and a massive failure. I mean, how can someone be law enforcement and not be able to read or write English? I'm like 99.9% sure in order to be law enforcement, you have to be able to read and write reports. It's just not going to work. It's not something that can work. This agency needs to be shut down. It was never going to be successful in the first place, and this is proof that those people at the top are just as incompetent as those people at the bottom. ICE is a failure, just as this administration is, and all of it needs to end. In other news, a new report has come out confirming more reports of torture on migrants on U.S. soil. A new report from Amnesty International has released new findings on the human rights violations that took place in Alligator Alcatraz and other detention centers. The director of the organization in the Americas said in a statement, "These findings confirm a deliberate system built to punish, dehumanize, and hide suffering of people in detention. Immigration enforcement cannot operate outside the rule of law or exempt itself from any human rights standards. What we are seeing in Florida should alarm the entire region." The report shares cells have issues with overflowing toilets seeping into sleeping areas, cameras above toilets, and an overall lack of privacy. People have also experienced torture like something called the box, which is a 2 by 2 foot cage where people are left restrained by their hands and legs for hours with barely any water. ICE facilities and ICE agencies throughout the country need to be shut down. This administration is committing human rights violations left and right, and so is ICE, all done behind a mask. And it is horrific and absolutely disgusting. It needs to be stopped. It should not be allowed to continue because nobody should have to go through this. Not even an animal should have to live through this. No human, no animal, no living thing should have to live through what humans are living through in these ICE facilities. It is absolutely horrendous and it is absolutely disgusting. Time and time again, day after day, week after week, month after month, reports come out and nothing is being done to stop this. The people in these facilities need to be released as soon as possible. We should not be arresting people for coming to the United States for a better opportunity. We should not be torturing people for coming to the United States for a better opportunity. I mean, we frequently have reports of people being raped in these facilities. We frequently have reports of people being beaten and bruised and battered in these facilities, and so much more. It is horrific what goes on in these facilities, and it needs to be shut down. It needs to be ended. Anyways, moving on into our other news segment, Micron has pulled consumer RAM off of shelves, or is looking to do so. Micron Technology, a top producer of RAM and other PC products, will now exit the consumer market after 29 years in 2026 to fund AI data centers. A statement from Sumit Sadana, a VP and Chief Business Officer of the company, said, "The AI-driven growth in the in the data center has led to a surge in demand for the memory and storage. Micron has made a difficult decision to exit the crucial consumer business in order to improve the supply and support for our larger strategic customers in faster-growing segments." From what I've learned, this is going to essentially destroy the gaming industry and really the electronic industry as a whole. This is going to lead to prices of things like RAM, storage, and so many other components to quadruple as big producers move to sell to AI companies instead rather than the consumer. AI is a problem for so many industries across the board and for so many markets across the board, which is why it needs to be regulated or it is going to continue to be a massive problem. In other news, we have seen a massive loss for the Trump administration today as another grand jury has refused to indict Letitia James once again. The Justice Department has once again refused to indict New York Attorney General Letitia James as another grand jury has refused to do so 2 weeks after the previous case was dismissed. This does not bar them from attempting to do so in the future, but it is very possible that will happen. But the Trump administration has been stopped from trying to prosecute another political opponent, something they have tried to do and have failed to do. Once again, this administration fails to prosecute their political opponents that they shouldn't even be going after in the first place. This administration really is such a joke. They are going after people they shouldn't be going after, and it's failing. Not to mention, just as ICE, just as Doge, just as everything else by this administration, it's all failing. It is all failing. The economy is failing. ICE is failing. Doge is failing. They're failing. The American people are failing to get jobs. Everything is failing across the board, and a reset needs to happen with the leadership in this country so we can actually make ourselves successful. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, Texas will once again be allowed to redistrict. The Supreme Court has restored Texas's Republican-favored congressional maps that were blocked by a lower court last month. The decision allows Republicans to continue to push to keep their House majority during the midterm elections, which they are extremely close to losing. The plan was stopped after a panel of 3 judges ruled that it was racially gerrymandered, but after requests from Governor Greg Abbott, the state will once again be allowed to redistrict. This is a big loss, and if it remains, will impact the midterms on so many levels. Trump is going to try to influence these elections as much as possible, and it's important that Democrats fight to block that. But it's also important that voters go out there and vote and fight for what's right. This administration is harming the American people left and right, and something needs to be done to solve and change that. So when election season comes around, go out and vote, because that's how we can make change, and that's how we can use our voices as the people. With that being said, though, thank you everyone for watching today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. It has definitely been a very interesting day in the news world, that is for sure. But if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All support would be greatly appreciated, as we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by this summer. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing as well. It's $8 a month, and all funds go to me. It helps me pay for the things that I need to pay for in life, like my groceries, clothing, all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all from support on this content. That being said, though, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful. I will see you all in tomorrow's episode.